we used to be doing things side by side, and then it became slowly but surely like, oh, well, now I'm pulling you along, I'm supporting you in things, I'm always to the rescue. Now we're moving into like, oh, you could just call Jess because she's always going to say yes, she's going to do it, and she has the means to do it. And
Mm,
without that being
mm-hmm.
monitored, it kind of morphed into or became a situation where I was being used but didn't really notice it.
Happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. How are you? Welcome to another edition of the Getting the Win Show. I'm your host, Melissa Thomas, aka Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully. This week, we're talking to Jessica Holley, who is the host of the Everybody Can't Go combos, and she is the soon to be author of the upcoming book, Everybody Can't Go, same name. And she also has a journal out called the Write the Vision Journal. So we're going to get into all of that, the Everybody Can't Go movement and brand, talking about the journal, as well as the recent workshop that she did. Wanted to get her thoughts on how that went. And of course, we talking productivity and beating procrastination on this show. So she talks about her tools and tips that she uses to overcome procrastination in her life. Check it out. As promised, I am here with the one and only Jessica Holley. Hashtag everybody can't go. She is wearing it. So welcome to the show, Jessica. I'm so excited to have you here, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Fan of the show, fan of your brand, like all of that. So I am excited to be here as well.
Awesome, awesome. So first, you got the shirt, kind of talk to our audience about, the Everybody Can't Go movement and brand and talk about your journal as well, the Write the Vision journal.
Okay. So for the brand Everybody Can't Go, it actually started out as the concept for a book, a book that I was writing about my and actually completed, um writing a book about my journey, a piece of my growth journey that I started to hear people share their stories in different places and spaces that I began to move in the personal and professional development space, where everybody talked about these issues that they were having or these challenges with their relationship dynamics and how those things change and have the potential to evolve, but they don't always evolve as we do. And I myself, I shared a lot of my personal story and some of the strategies that came out of that as I like completed the cycle and entered into a space where I'm like, oh, everybody, I can't bring them along if they don't desire to go. I mean, it sounds harsh, everybody can't go. The truth is, everybody can go, but everybody doesn't desire to go. Everybody is not going to do the work to go with you.
True,
And so with that
true.
being said, like sometimes there are people that they can't move into the places and spaces or be accepted into some of the social circles, or could possibly cost you opportunities if you aren't willing to set boundaries. Some people completely do need to be left behind. And also, most importantly, in the biblical based portion of it, remembering that reason, season, or a lifetime that we are supposed to be in contact with folks. So, as a part of my journey of writing the book itself, it evolved into this bigger thing and became the brand itself. And so I hosted my first workshop and wrote my first journal, a guided journal, which takes you back to the very first step of how I like entered into my season of becoming. And that all for me started with actually taking the time to write my vision. That's one of the scriptures or the church things that we
Mm.
hear all the time, that it at this point it's so repeated that it comes in one ear and goes right back out of the other. But when I actually took the time to sit with myself, sit in prayer, sit in meditation, sit just with me and self, I'm like, hey, self says, my myself, she answers inside my brain. Okay. We got to have conversations
Amen.
sometimes. And I really had to make a very concerted effort and think about what I was thinking about and pay attention to what I was thinking about. and actually took the time to sit with myself. And as I was writing, question some of the things that I started to adopt, because life be lifing. Adulting is hard.
Facts.
Um, the older we get, we and I can't even tell at this point if it's intentional, where we let those dreams die, because every day you get these micro doses of, you're too old for that, or you need to outgrow all of
Mm,
that dream state. Oh, you're very childlike in the
mm.
way that you go after things, or you come up with these great grand plans. Well, how's that supposed to happen? For me, I was able to bring all those things to fruition with work and effort by first writing it down. And so that's where the Write the Vision journal was born.
Beautiful. And that kind of goes into my next question about your backstory. What first, like, what was the event in your life that was the catalyst for you to say, you know what, like, I'm gonna have to draw a hard boundary here. Like, I know I'm growing, and I see that you guys are not willing to come with me. Like, what was that catalyst for you?
Whew. So for me, my catalyst was actually it's not as bad as what happens for everybody else, but it was just a drama filled season of people wanting to argue, have different fights and things. It got to the point where there was cyberbullying involved and all types of other things, and just the situation with people almost trying to force me into a corner to take me out of character. And it
Mm,
the pretty much the friend group that we had, that inner circle and that outer circle, there were a lot of moving parts and changes within me, as far as some of the things that I wanted to do with my life, some of the things and places where I was leveling up in my career. There were things that I needed to do differently professionally to get to the level and salary that I so desired. um, there were some conferences and coaching that I took part in, so that in a fully encompassing way, I could become better in all avenues of my life. I made changes to myself that weren't necessarily advantageous anymore for the people that I spent time around and hung out with. And so it kind of just came to a point where it's like, I'm angry with you. Oh, well, I'm sorry if there was something that I, did or said. Could you let me know what that thing is? Like, we can have a talk, we can fix this. And I was mostly just met with just animosity, never really got answers to, like, okay, so wait, why are you upset? And over time, like the everything pretty much just got busted up. And it's like people were forced to take sides, and for quite a while I pretty much just like took a step back, because I'm like, are we getting to a solution or no? Like, if it's not solution based, I'm not necessarily interested in going that path, and like continuing back and forth with doing that thing. So I decided to just continue with moving forward. And after a while, that window of time closed for people to come back inward, or inward to that inner circle, to repair relationships and different things. And throughout that journey, I was able to learn new things, and actually examined where I could have done something differently, or where I could have placed boundaries, as all of these red flags had been popping up leading up to this just big blow up of an entire group of people. And I can definitely say that I was blind to, or just not paying attention to certain behaviors and characteristics that, we always say, that's just how such and such is. Like, you learn to deal with them. And because I'm that person that I just love on everybody, I always find a way to like make it work with anybody, with everybody. I'm always like, "Oh, you guys, if you're having a conflict, let's sit down, let's talk about this. Let's put ourselves in each other's shoes. Let's like really, talk about our feelings, talk about the facts, talk about ways that we're able to move forward from this. And
Mm-hmm.
I never been in a situation where doing that was like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do the drama. We're going to pretty much pretend to be on a reality show. And I'm like, I'm not getting paid for that.
Mm.
So no thanks. I'll exit stage left.
That part.
And
That
I
part.
I had to learn to just let it go. And in letting it go, that is the catalyst, that starting point for Everybody Can't Go. Was just my realization that I used to always talk about like loyalty and honesty. And the truth of the matter is, even loyalty within social groups, sometimes it does have a time limit when we're looking at that reason, season, or a lifetime. And that was something that I had to learn.
Oh, that's good. Don't miss that. You guys that are watching, like even loyalty has a time limit. Wow, that was good. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of dig a little deeper into that if you don't mind. In terms of this particular circle, were these folks that were like your day ones, like y'all kind of grew up together, went to school together, or was this occupational? Like how long had you known this circle of folks?
Wow. So it was actually a mismatch of people that I'd grown up with. So from what were we, like 9, 10 years old, all the way up to there were some people that I grew up with that we finally got the chance to go to school together in college. And then a lot of my undergrad friends who undergrad is a whole new world of quote unquote getting it out the mud. Especially when, being in school on a scholarship, yeah, school is paid for, but there are all of the other ancillary costs of adulting that we don't always, have
Correct.
the option, and everyone isn't able to meet the academic rigor while working a part-time job here and there, or piecing together 2 or 3 part-time jobs to equal, however much money you needed at the time to continue to transition into adulthood. And so yeah, this was a mismatch of people where our lives all kind of pretty much converged on our college campus. And then you have your outside friends from other schools, people that you have your
Right.
best friend that you grew up with that kind of gets brought in. And so yeah, that was kind of like the meeting point for everyone. And then there was the friend of a friend, or the friend of a friend of a friend, and that kind of just created this whole melting pot of people who at one time we supported each other, we spent time together, hung out, and as those dynamics started to change over time, it was a gradual change at a very pivotal time in everyone's life, really. And so as we moved from everyone helping each other, because we were all at the same level when we started, as certain people began to
Hmm.
level up and kind of move, and I ended up being one of those people. It started to create this gap where we used to be doing things side by side, and then it became slowly but surely like, oh well, now I'm pulling you along, I'm supporting you in things, I'm always to the rescue. Now we're moving into like, oh, you could just call Jess because she's always going to say yes, she's going to do it, and she has the means to do it. And
Mm.
without that being
Hmm.
monitored, it kind of morphed into or became a situation where I was being used but didn't really notice it. And honestly, I didn't really
Wow.
address it until I sat with myself and thought back on what could I have done different, and what did I do to cause such conflict or said conflict. And a lot of the things that I looked back on in how that changed, a lot of it was that we were growing up um in proximity
Hmm.
to each other, but we were not growing up into adulthood at the same rate, nor that we have the same desires. We kind of just like, oh yeah, but we all hang out.
That's important. Thank you for pointing that out. If you haven't started subscribing to the Road to Results podcast yet, please do that. R to R. All right, to our podcast. I bring those guys up because Rye always talks about your day ones versus your day twos. Like the day ones are the folks that, you grew up with. That's like the first season of your life, the people you knew in that first season. And then your day twos are the people that you start to meet as you elevate. Because like your day ones would be, family members, people you can't necessarily get rid of, so to speak, or draw a hard line to part ways with, so to speak. But your day twos are the people you choose to let into your life. So yeah, I'm glad you shared that. Appreciate that. What made you decide to take those lessons and create a brand, or you know what I mean? What made you decide to start on the book? What inspired you to do the book?
Um, I actually, because I'd heard other people sharing stories similar to mine, I started to kind of like, okay, well, I've heard this recurring thing that happens as you decide to embark on a personal growth journey, or whether you're doing that in a structured environment or on your own. And I'm like, there has to be something out there already about this, like, gotta be. And so I started to Google, I started to like look up were there any books, programs or anything. And what I began to notice was that within the personal and professional development space, there were a lot of speakers, a lot of teachers, gurus, people that they would talk about it a bit, they would touch on it, but it was always kind of like oh, it's a bullet point in my presentation, or I'll
Mm,
mention this as a part of it'll be a part of the presentation or a series, in terms of I have the series, I have the episodes. Within the episodes, there are modules. I'll make a couple of lines about it within a module. So it was kind of like just buried deep in there. And I also felt like it was kind of glossed over. So I started to think about, well, if I had this problem, and for me, this problem actually drug on for about 2 years post like friendship breakup, and there were other people who began to share their similar stories where it was it ended up being a family member. There were people who were having issues with their adult children. There were people who had issues with boundaries with their own parents, with other family members, with like you said, those day ones that they are like family and accepted and welcomed into the family structure. And then also the same thing can happen within a romantic relationship or dating, leading to marriage, which you would find out before you even get to the point of marriage. And so when I saw that there was like this huge gap for a problem that is like, well, every time I'm in class or I get to a conference or I'm within a certain community of people, like this is a recurring thing, that there's a pocket of people, there's a group of people who are having this very painful experience with learning how to like navigate those emotional changes, those social dynamics and different things. And that in itself, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to share my story, I'm going to talk about this thing. And that is the only thing that I'm going to talk about. And that's pretty much where the original Everybody Can't Go book was, where it started, and what encouraged me and kind of motivated me to go ahead and write, because I saw the need for me sharing my story with so many other people, that you aren't alone. And yes, we are going to take the time to talk about this thing specifically as a part of your growth journey, because I would never want anyone to kind of like give up, slow down, or veer off of that road in their journey, simply because you may be that one person on an island to yourself, and everyone doesn't necessarily have that, depending on your personality, your preferences, how you're stacked. Some people are more apt to, well, everybody is telling me that there's something wrong with me for believing in this, for wanting to live a certain way. You know what? I'll just go ahead and give up on my dream, and I'll do what everyone else wants me to do. Everybody will tell me how great I am, how successful I am, and it's going to be awesome from the outside looking in. but I know what that feeling is like for everyone else to think you're doing so great. This is so good, awesome for you. And for me to have that feeling of like, everybody else thinks this is so awesome because of the way it looks. I feel like it's not enough. And I'm absolutely miserable when I go home and it's time to be by myself, be alone. And I never wanted anyone else to, like, if you're living in that, to continue to live in it. And the steps that I made to make that conscious decision that I have to live the life that makes me happy. And those relationship dynamics, as they changed, those voices saying like, oh well, you want too much, you're doing too much, like, well, why do you have to have such and such that big, why does it have to be, insert whatever your dream is here. And I'm like, you know what, no, I'm going
Hmm.
to go full court press at this thing, and we're going to talk about this one specific thing that for some people it can make or break whether or not they continue to goal set, go get and chase their dream ultimately and build out the vision that was given to them for their life.
Very well said. I love the goal set and goal get. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I mean I kind of like that your what you're talking about ties into the topic of procrastination a lot because there are certain things that people hesitate to move on because of those relationships. We recently, for those of you following the series, we had Jazz Abraham on here. She's a boundaries coach. So, very similar in terms of being able to draw those boundaries with the people you love. Like, sometimes it's not a coworker, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's a sibling, sometimes it's a mom. You know what I mean? Like, the conversation might be uncomfortable, but necessary. Um, so, thank you for sharing that, Jess. I appreciate that. So, to the point of that, you took the step to write down your vision, which gave you the clarity you needed to start drawing them boundaries and start more clearly expressing where you were going. I wanted to highlight that one because everybody, like, for practical steps, guys, like, we're still early enough in the year that, even if you've written your vision out, be sure to revisit it. Be sure to revisit it. One of the things I shared in my workshop was revisiting your goals for 2024 and asking yourself, are these yours for real? Or did someone influence you to claim these things as yours? Are they yours for real? Or did or did a circumstance influence you to claim them as something you want to do or want to accomplish? That's a good question. So, you recently hosted your Write the Vision workshop, obviously connected to the journal. Talk about how that experience was for you and the feedback that you got from it.
So for me, the experience, it was definitely enlightening. Still, I'm learning as I'm teaching other people. It was a learning experience as well for how can I improve. Paying attention to the places where I do need to go a bit deeper with people, looking at reactions for what does the audience need, what do they want, what are they prepared to receive right now, and also because there are multiple steps to writing your vision, paying attention to the areas and places that people are like, oh, I am there right now. Like that's the place where I need to dig into it. Um, as I talked about the journal itself, one of the recurring things that I definitely make sure to remind as we went throughout the week was that this isn't just a one day thing. This isn't a one day process. And you can sit, write your vision right now after this episode and say, you know what, I'm going to write my vision down right now. You'll write a few pages as you begin to break that thing down so that you're able to take action on it and you begin to move. There are some things that you're going to have to make tweaks here and there. There are things that you're going to have to rearrange. You'll have to move things, possibly put them in a different space on your timeline. And so while you're also like at work doing these things, there are also new concepts that you'll learn. You'll find new tools and techniques, ones that you're like, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for me to implement that. But then you'll also find some that it's like, oh, Never thought of that. That's something that I can easily just, you can go ahead and implement it. You don't have to think about it ever again. It's kind of like just set it and forget it. And then there are those things that you're like, okay, well, I have to put work into learning that technique so that I can apply it properly to get the results that I'm looking for. So, and through that different process of looking at all of the different methods and techniques that you can use, part of what sets you up for success is tailoring this experience for you as an individual, because there is no like catch all that you're going to be able to just take the blueprint, follow it to the T, and it's like, this is my vision. Your vision is going to be your own. So, just working with the group as we went from day to day through some of the beginning pieces of writing your vision, things to keep in mind, and how they build on one another. And then also identifying through the there may be four options that you can take for something, and it's like, option C, that is for me. You can glean as you go, as you're learning. You're choosing the pieces that fit into your puzzle so that you're able to go further faster in what you need to do. And then also I would say one big takeaway for me was I was actually able to like get a deeper, I don't want to say understanding, but it hit me in both a professional as well as a personal way, that my circle and my tribe, the people that I can depend on, that, even though we move through these different groups, and sometimes, it's like, oh, well, I got my day twos, and it's like, but are they as awesome as your day ones? And it's like, no, yeah, like seriously, like we getting reps in, we getting work put in, where I can actually like depend on, and not just delegate. I can depend on other people who I'm around in what I would I mean, at this point it's not the new circle, but in that, like, post drama friendship circle, there are people that hold me up, hold me accountable, as well as I don't always have to be the hero. And so some of the things behind the scene, and as far as like people supporting and everything, it was also a learning journey for me as I was teaching other people some of the very things that literally got me from where I was to where I am. And so it was a really good experience for this workshop.
Cool. Talk about what's your vision for the Everybody Can't Go brand for 2024, like going forward this year?
So for the 2024 brand, like, oh my gosh, there is a ton of stuff that I have planned for you guys. We actually have a full workshop series. So there are 5 more workshops that we will have throughout the year. The next being the Learn Yourself workshop coming up in March. That's March 22nd. Hold on. Use the calendar. That'll be March 26th. March 26th through the 28th. That's a Tuesday through Thursday, where we'll take a, deeper dive into digging deeper. So that foundation that you've set, if you've got your journal, started to fill that out, and we're building on that foundation, taking it to that next level. We're going to look at those things that you're able to control, because you can only control you. Even when we're talking about setting boundaries for other people, when we're talking about, weeding through the whole concept of everybody can't go, there are things that you need to learn about yourself first so that you are reaffirmed in your decisions as you're going along. And then coming this year, we also have the Everybody Can't Go book, the first book in a series of 3 that will be dropping for you guys later this year. Of course, I'll hit you up when pre-sales go live for the book. And yeah, so for now, the focus is on our workshop series and the book launch itself. And eventually, depending on how things go this year, I've actually thought about doing the Everybody Can't Go Summit at the toward the end of this year. So more to come on that. And we'll see how this thing builds out. We're still very early in the year, and I'm always open for and agile at my 9 to 5 and agile just anytime. Like whether you want to call it spontaneous, super excited, fast paced, whatever. Like because I'm always all over the place, there is so much room for anything else that needs to be done. I mean, at the workshop that we just had this past week, um just with that workshop, an idea for another series has already been born there. So there's just so much opportunity for bringing you guys the things that you need and what you need right now. So yeah, the check out the website, and we'll always have like what's coming up, what's the next thing. And as far as what I have planned so far, if God is like, hey, no, go over it, then that's where we're going, y'all, you know?
Yes, yes, indeed. Real quick, just let them know the website where they can find out more.
That website, you can keep up with us at www.everybodycan'tgo2.com.
Awesome. And don't worry, guys, we'll have all of her information in the show notes and of course on the screen as we're talking in the conversation. But since she did mention a website, I want to make sure you guys got that right off the bat. So you've shared the vision, you've given people kind of a bit of a preview as to what they can expect with the journal. Now we want to get to how you handle your productivity, because of course, getting the win show, right? Like we talking about beating procrastination, and you're someone who has a lot of ideas. Your mind moves very quickly. How do you maintain productivity in your life? Like, what are the tools that you use to, fulfill all of your objectives each day? Because you've got the business, you've got everybody can't go, but you also work a 9 to 5. So kind of talk about how you juggle both of those.
So, some of the main things that have worked out well for me have been habit stacking, and also just actually have it right here, a planner. I keep a planner where my different calendars and things color code my calendar so that it's just muscle
Mm,
memory. I have my 5 different colored pens. If I need to add a sixth one, I have a color for myself, my personal affairs, doing things with friends and family. Another color for work, another color for the business, and another color for just like, hey, alert, alert, this is a priority thing. And speaking of priority, that is another thing that I do is I definitely prioritize and delegate when needed. Talking about a bit earlier when I mentioned having that strong village around me and that community around me with people who hold me up and accountable. I kind of had to get to a point where I grew to realizing that I didn't have to be that superhero for myself and everybody else and do all the things and all of this stuff that I have. Like it just has to be Jesse, Jesse, Jesse. Um, when I stayed in closer proximity to and like had a more quality social circle, a lot of the things that I'd taken onto my plate, I have access to people who if somebody else is the expert, let the expert do it. Just because I can do a lot of things. I'm one of those jack of all trades type people that it's like, well, do you know how to do, hold on, let me learn it right quick. Okay, I have your answer. And it's like, I thought you said you didn't know how. That was 4 hours ago that I didn't know how. And while that skill can serve me in a work environment because I'm able to make results happen fast, when I let that bleed over into my life, I had to take a look at how do I manage my calendar? How do I manage my planner for the breakdown for my hours in the day? And then also get comfortable with being uncomfortable with delegating things out. Each task can't be my baby. Each project can't be my baby. Like I need to pick my 1 or 2 things that I have my hands on, and the things that I'm able to leave with the trusted source or leave with the actual expert. Go ahead and do that. And then I would say that another thing that I did was I just kind of built in procrastination fail safes for myself. Um, Once I was able to, yeah, hashtag get on that, okay? As I've been watching and growing with the podcast, I have like each week I've taken like one or two like small things that I can easily implement and start to get those things into my rotation. So I guess you could say constant growth as a part of that agile framework for me, that I add like little things in pretty much every week to help me to stay on target, stay on track. When there are things that I do need to move around, I do look at my return on investment. I do look at the ROI on how I'm spending my time. And even in the times where it's like, I have an appointment that I'm supposed to be at this time. If there's something else that takes priority, that is like, well, no, there's a deadline on this thing. You need to get that done. I will always submit to the deadline. And one of the I actually had my post-it out because I was like, yeah, I know we're gonna have to talk about this. With building into that schedule and different things, my procrastination fail safes. I had identified with working through some things with you that I have the propensity to be a busy bee, be a dreamer, and be a perfectionist. And it's like, wait a minute, how you gonna be all those things?
Mm,
How you gonna have a ton of ideas and all this stuff? And then I'll sit here and I'll get to thinking about it. How can we make it bigger and bigger and bigger, but still have the nerve to be a perfectionist and don't want to release it until it's like absolutely perfect. So just looking at the
mm-hmm.
combination of procrastination styles that I have and that work in my brain, I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna chunk this thing down. And I'm like, let me start paying attention to which style goes with which set of tasks in my life. Since I have, the business, the 9 to 5, there's the social aspect, fitness, faith, all of those different things, and take a look at what is it actually feasible for me to fit in, and when do I need to reduce my task list? Because I mean, yeah, we can always lose sleep, but that has to be a predetermined and decided amount of sleep, and for how long. We always say put a date on it for our goals. When are you going to accomplish that thing by, or what's the deadline if you're at work? But when you're making a sacrifice in your own life for getting to the goal, what is the date that you're going to put on that habit that can quickly become unhealthy if you're just letting it go unregulated? If you have to eat takeout a couple nights because you're like, darn,
Ooh,
I missed my Sunday meal prep.
that's good.
Okay, well, something else is going to have to move by Wednesday because you've gone 3 days straight, grabbing takeout or doing
Wow.
unplanned fasting. Did you even have your water at your desk? And were you prepared
Hello.
for, that one thing that disrupted the flow of the rest of your entire week? You have to decide, when will you put a stop in there so that you can get yourself back on track. And so just taking a look at the places where my routine or my schedule will be thrown off, and setting a date for, okay, we're going to get back on track because this fell out of place because of this. And then looking for ways to ask myself, like, well, okay, you procrastinated on that thing. Why? Well, because this and this. Okay, get to the root cause. Because once you solve that root cause, then sometimes the places we procrastinate, it'll take care of itself.
That
So those are the tools that I use.
absolutely. Yeah, don't miss that. Yeah, don't miss that, you guys. Putting a deadline on even when your schedule is thrown off, put a deadline on the offness, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like once you're thrown off, tell yourself, okay, we getting back on track on this day. That's powerful, Jessica. Thank you for sharing that. Like that's
Hmm.
really good. Because it'll be really easy to spiral if we don't get a
Oh, okay.
handle on that moment when we, get off the wagon. It'll be real easy to spiral down the drain. Like, well, I already threw this off, whatever. Like I'm just throw all my efforts out the window. Like, no, like get up, dust off, and keep going. I had actually shared a social media post in early January where it literally was what God told me that particular date, which was keep going. And then as part of that monologue, he was just saying like, if you fall off or you do something that if you disobey me, like come right back to me and keep going. You know what I mean? So if you fall off the wagon, if something's thrown off, You set your goals for your diet and now you're off of that. It's okay. Come right back to it. Come right back to the commitment you made for yourself at the beginning of the year. It's okay. And here's the thing, it's a lot easier and takes a lot less time to recover from the sooner you come back compared to if you just let yourself spiral. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to highlight that point. That was good. Thank you.
Mm.
So what do you do when you're now that you've identified your procrastination styles? That was dope. Thanks for taking those notes. Um, how do you what do you do to push past it? Like you obviously you ask the why, which I love that. Like, okay, why did you procrastinate on this thing? And then like get to the root cause. Like in these times now where you're super busy, you're probably exhausted, and you feel tempted to procrastinate. How do you normally push past that in the moment?
So in the moment, if I'm having a busy bee moment, where there's just all the things, all the things, all the things, that's where I'll immediately put in that prioritization and delegation where it can be done. Because a lot of times when there's a ton of stuff to be done, putting stuff in a to-do list,
Hmm.
you can just keep adding to the list, adding to the list. You'll just have a thought about something that you don't need to take
That
action on it until 3 months from now, but you put it on the list. And so we see this great big list of all these different things. And sometimes just looking at that in itself is overwhelming. And so when I'm procrastinating because of that,
facts.
I'm like, ooh, do I have analysis paralysis because of the to do list? Stop. All right, let's look at
Yes.
the planner. So, instead of ruminating on that and sitting in that, stop, look at the planner. So the way that my planner is set up, I literally have starting at from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I specifically chose the
Hmm.
planner because I'm like, okay, once we get to the end of the 10 o'clock hour, really, we're already past bedtime. Stop. Don't do no more work.
Facts.
Don't do anything else extra. Stop having assigned tasks. And another thing that I do to get rid of that busy bee piece of procrastination is instead of and I've actually recently implemented this and I'm like, okay, this feels better. Instead of having a task oriented to do, like at first I chunked it down and I said, okay, I'm going to choose 5 items that I will do every day after my 9 to 5. And I will
That's
pencil those
good.
things in.
Hmm.
But what I started to find was some of those 5 things that I chose, if I only have from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. to get these things done, if the 5 tasks that I chose, if two of those tasks take 2 hours, now I'm behind. Now I'm continuing to work and plug away
Right.
until 1, 2, 3 a.m. And I'm making myself feel like, oh crap, I got to get these 5 things done. So from there, I reduced down to a list of 3 items. And there are spaces here for priority and secondary things, which that's a nice reminder for me, just already pre-written, which is why I'm like, stop, go to the planner so I can look at what can I do? What do I have the capacity to do today, depending on what is listed here for me already. And so I reduced down to the 3, but still sometimes that timetable on there, if I hadn't properly guesstimated how long it would take me to finish the 3 tasks. So what I started to do, and actually something that I implemented for today, because I pretty much I have an open calendar for the most part, meeting with you, and I'm like, oh, there's space there that doesn't have anything in it. That means that I can pick up my task list and I'll just start doing things. And I'll sit here and I'll sit here and I'll sit here. The sun will go down and the house is quiet and I'll just keep working. Now, all of a sudden, I have a headache. What time is it? Oh, darn, it's 2 a.m. So, the
Didn't eat.
final thing that I'm starting to do is implement a time that I will stop. It doesn't matter how many of those things of the 3 on the to do list are complete. I've given myself a time to stop working on these things, and so that I can
Mm.
stop, get a mental reset, and get rest, both mentally and physically to get rest. So I kind of just eliminate decisions that I have to make. to help myself not have decision fatigue, because that is another thing that will make me procrastinate when I'm just like, there's so many things that I need to choose. Nope. Pre-choose my clothes. I pre-choose what my weekend plans will be. I pre-choose how many activities I will participate in during the work week. And the other thing, another choice that like daily, it just has been a game changer for me. I meal prep 2 to 3 times a week so that I don't have to like,
Nice.
what am I going to have for breakfast? Oh, it's time to stop for lunch. Sometimes if there's not already a lunchbox made for me in that refrigerator, I'll just be like, I'll figure out what to eat later. Procrastinating again. And I will procrastinate until I have a hunger headache. And now I'm like, dang, now I have to stop working. I have to go get something to eat, and just stand there looking in the cabinet like, well, now I have to figure it out when I have the time and energy
Mm-hmm.
to figure it out. Simple. I stop myself from procrastinating on eating lunch in the first place, and then the procrastination that comes in with wasting time of now making the decision, because I pre-made this decision for Monday and Tuesday. I made that decision on Sunday. Walk downstairs, get the box, eat, and I can resume work. So I would say that's the biggest one for me. And then for the dreamer and the perfectionist, the dreamer, pretty much the same thing, just stop myself or have an allotted time to just like let my mind wander and to do brain dumping and journaling so that I can get all of that stuff out, so that I'm not like, oh, this meeting is so boring. So, and start to let my mind drift. And my other set of fail safes are my people. When I'm being a perfectionist and it's time for something to be done, and I'm like, wait, no, like I know that this was supposed to launch at a certain time, but I just want to fix these other little things. I let the decision be made
Right.
outside of myself.
Nope.
Hmm. And I literally leave it
Mm-hmm.
up to someone else
Yeah.
in my trusted circle to be like, Jesse, no, it's finished, isn't it? Yes, but we're only going with what you said before, but it's finished. Let it go. Stop holding on to this thing. And because I know that even with telling myself the things that I need to tell myself to get over the perfectionist piece, I can procrastinate right there too. If I allow myself to sit there and be like, well, I want to fix these other things. And it's like, well, no, if you telling myself, taking the extra time to tell myself, well, if you sit here and fix these things, you could be robbing someone else of their blessing. You know what? You're right. But
That
me and
part.
self can go back and forth all day. That in itself is still that perfectionist procrastination. So what do? Phone a friend. Okay, so I'm having a moment. Nope, it's done. Push the button. And I literally allow somebody else to do
Beautiful.
it for me and go ahead and push that button.
Yeah. That actually indicates a certain level of emotional intelligence and maturity. Like it's important to know that you can trust the people in your circle to relinquish your decision making, even for the one decision. Like that's a level of that's an impressive level of maturity, to be able to be like, all right, I'm thinking about this too long. Like, hold up. like let me call somebody. So yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. All of that was gold, y'all. Like run that back, probably play it at like half speed so you can really take all the notes. And hey, follow what works. Jessica is somebody who moves very fast. She's doing a lot of stuff, and she still gets a lot done. She executes, you know what I mean? So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Jess. And for those, if this is your first episode, this is the ultimate testimonial of the series, because a lot of the gems that she shared were things that I've been sharing throughout the course of the show. So appreciate you for following and watching. And yeah, everybody can't go, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to draw the line. For
Exactly,
sure.
exactly.
So let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and then just drop the website one more time for them.
Okay, so you can find me on socials at on Facebook at Everybody Can't Go, on Instagram at Everybody Can't Go the number 2. and our website, www.everybodycan'tgo2.com. And mostly I'm active on Instagram. You can send me a DM, send me a message, drop a link or anything like that. And check us out on the website. Take a look at what we have coming up new for you guys in the coming months. And you can send me a message anytime.
And by the way, y'all, she does have her own podcast. I was honored to be a guest on her show. Everybody Can't Go Combos. So be sure to check her out on YouTube as well. Subscribe. That's Everybody Can't Go on YouTube. Okay. So at Everybody Can't Go. All right. So be sure to check her out. Jessica, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you for all the nuggets that you've been just dropping like week after week after week. It's definitely made my journey easier, so I appreciate you.
Hopefully you ran that back and took some serious notes, because those were some good tips in there. And shout out to Jessica for tuning into this show. I'm totally glad that she was able to get some tips that helped her. Hopefully these tips are helping you as well. By all means, if this was your first time, welcome. Welcome to the Getting the Win community. You can subscribe to this show. You're watching it on YouTube, so that's at Getting the Win on YouTube. You can hit me up on social media at Getting the Win Show. That's on Pinterest, Instagram, and Threads. All three of those at Getting the Win Show. Here on YouTube at Getting the Win. For Jessica's information, you'll find it in the show notes. And of course, you can always run back the episode. You'll see it up on the screen as well. And be sure to subscribe to her too. Like, make sure to plug in with her, cop the journal, because it's actually very helpful. I have a copy, so it's not only a journal, it's also a planner. So be sure to get your own copy and, tap in with Jessica. She'll be helpful to you too. And Jessica's someone who is a ball of energy and a ball of amazing friendship. Once you're tied in with her, you're tied in with her, okay? She's already a sister of mine, and, much love to her. In the meantime, guys, be sure to subscribe here. I will catch you next Wednesday. In the comments, leave your takeaways and hashtag get on that for your luxury item. Whatever that thing is that you have been procrastinating on. We're deep into the series now, so you shouldn't be sitting on anything anymore. But if you have some challenges, hit me up. Like, write it in the comments below this video or DM me on Instagram. Let me know how I can help you. In the meantime, take care. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and great rest of your week. Peace out. And be sure to check out the merch shop. If you are curious about the shirt, you want one for yourself, you can go to gettingthewingear.com. That way you'll see this shirt. You'll see a bunch of other accessories as well. We've got hoodies, we've got sweats. You've got all the gifts that you could possibly want to buy for yourself and for your folks to get the message out about being as productive as possible and staying true to yourself. Because the mission of this show is to turn procrastinators into producers. That's why I always task you guys to hashtag get on that and make sure you're on top of your luxury item. And that way you can rock the gear to remind the world that you are all about that luxury item. You are all about getting things done, getting the goals instead of simply setting them.